Om Sadashivasamārambhām Vyāsaśaṅkaramadhyamām Asmatacārya-paryantām Vande Guru-paramparaṁ Śrutismriti-purāṇānaṁ Ālayam Karuణālayam Namāmi Bhagavad-pādam Śaṅkaram Loka-śaṅkaram Śaṅkaram Śaṅkarācāryam Keṣavam Bādarayanam Sutra-bhāśya-krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Vidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Namaste. So we have started to look at the Hastamalaka Geetam. So I explained to you in the previous two classes. Hastamalaka holds a special status as a Acharya of Dwarka Pitam in the Guru Parampara. So in Adi Shankara's tradition, he is one of the Acharyas, the foremost Acharyas. And to be an Acharya of a Pitam is a very, very great thing. So we saw in the last class how he was waiting for the teacher to appear. So for the Jnanam to also come, you need the right time. One will be making effort. One will be, waiting for a very long time. But when the time comes, when the teacher comes in front of you, or when the right effort is there, then the knowledge actually starts to culminate. Right? So it may be dormant. So we never say that all are ignorant. Everybody is knowledgeable, but they do not know that they are knowledgeable. That's what we say. So one knows one is knowledgeable only when the Shastram is revealed. Oh, all along I was knowing all these things. I never knew this. It's so easy. So Hastamalaka is supposed to be, the Hastam means the palm, and the Amalakam is the gooseberry. So the gooseberry is something which can be easily, hidden, and nobody can see. You cannot hold up, pumpkin, cannot hold an apple, or you cannot hold anything else, because it is even any fruit will get crushed also. So this Amalakam has got this special skill where it doesn't get crushed. It's also nicely hidden. So the whole universe is actually in one's own hand. That's what it means. So we saw in the last class that how this Acharya or this Hastamalaka responds to a question posed by Adi Shankara as to who are you, where are you coming from, what is your name, where do you want to go, etc. And then he says that I'm neither Manushya, Naham Manushyaha, Nacha Devaha, Yakshaha, Na Brahmanaha, Kshatriyaha, Vaishyaha, Shudraha, Na Brahmachari, Na Grihi, Na Vanastaha, Na Bhikshuhu, Na Aham, just Nijabuddha Sarupam. So he says, I am neither of any of these things. So you cannot categorize me in any of this category of the Varna. Neither sannyasi, I am also not a sannyasi. Sannyasi also, as I told you in the first beginning class, it is a status. So it is just because somebody is wearing an orange robe. Even the orange robe also has to be left one day. The orange robe indicates, or sannyasi status indicates, that the person is steadfast in Brahmajnana. It does not distinguish between a person who is wearing a t-shirt or somebody who is sitting at home and pursuing Brahmajnana. Because they have chosen the lifestyle because it's easy for them to pursue jnana. Because in sannyasa there is no competition, there is no responsibilities, there is no duties, there are no fixed commitments. You can teach if you want to, you don't want to teach, you can just take a break, you can go around, you can just meditate, you can read, you can just be whatever you want. So there is no limitations, or there is no prescribed duties for a sannyasi. Whereas for a grahastha, there are prescribed duties. One cannot escape or one cannot leave the duties and follow sannyasa. If at all we go to sannyasa, that ashrama, then you cannot come back. There's no question of coming back from sannyasa back to grihastha ashrama. Whereas you can be in the grihastha ashrama and you can still lead the lifestyle of a sannyasa, just being detached, studying shastram and pursuing jnana. Here also this acharya also in the same way, he's living in a grihastha. But he says, even though I am part of all these things, I am neither of this. So I'm not a monk, but I am the true self. I am the consciousness. Nija bodha swarupaha. So Nija bodham means what? Bodham means knowledge. And Nijam means the truth. And Swarupa means the one's own true nature. So the self is the knowledge, and knowledge is of the nature of one's own true nature. This is called Nija bodha swarupam. Right? So Bhikshur na aham. So we saw this meaning last time. So this is something which every sadhaka or every person pursuing jnanam has to ponder. One has to always have an equation saying that I am neither of this. Somebody says, are you grihastha? Yes, I am a grihastha for vyavaharika purpose. For transactional purpose, I am a grihastha. But if you say that are you grihastha in absolute terms? You say, no, I am not grihastha at all. So what are you? So I am Shuddha Chaitanyam of the consciousness. So this is what is important. And then he starts to discuss or explain what he said in the first verse. So all these verses are supporting verses or which corroborate what he has said in the opening sentence. The opening sentence itself has given the vision. Right? The vision has already said, I am neither in all these things. I am pure consciousness. Now, how do you understand pure consciousness? It is not something to be studied, but one has to arrive at consciousness by deducing or by analyzing what is not that. That's what it says here, this verse. Nittam manaschakshuradi pravurtau. Nittam manaschakshuradi pravurtau. Nirastakilopadirakashakalpaha. Ravirlokacheshta-nimittam yatayaha sanityopalaptiswarupohamatma nimittam manaschakshuradi-pravurtau nirastakilopadirakashakalpaha ravirlokacheshta-nimittam yatayaha sanityopalaptiswarupohamatma Ahamatma, Ahamatma. So you add the word Ahamatma after every sentence. Just like Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhaja, Mudamate. Right? Same way, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam. Same way here also, Ahamatma, Ahamatma means the repetition is actually so that you don't forget. Right? So always repetition is made in Shastram for not forgetting. So, should take the third sentence, yatha. See, yatha, the word called yatha means just as. Ravihi loka cheshta nimittam. So, Ravi means what? Sun. So, Ravi means sun. It's got many names, like, Gavastiman, Pushaha. So, a lot of names are there for Ravi. Right? So, Ravi here is mentioned is the sun. So, loka cheshtam. So, cheshtam, when you say it is action. Cheshtai. Cheshtam, when you say it is actions being performed. And lokam means actions which are performed in this universe. Nimittam, when you say, is the cause. So, nimittam means the cause. So nimitta karanam upadana karanam, correct? So when you say the nimittam, when you say here, I mean somebody is actually is the cause for this particular phenomenon. Example, you may attend, see, you would have come to Vedanta because something else would have been nimitta karanam. Someone would have told, see, there is a very Shastram is available there. It's being taught. Why don't you join? I am joining. I am also going to the class. So what if you do? You listen to the person and you are interested. And then you join the class. You continue with the class. Other person drops out completely. I mean, now he lost interest because then he became the nimitta karanam for you to succeed. Correct. So nimitta karanam, because of something has occurred. Here also it says the sun is the essence. Sun is the cause for every action which has been performed in the universe. So without the sun being there, there is no energy possible in the body. Sun gives energy to the body, and because we have energy, we are able to get up and perform the action. Even for getting up, also we need energy. So sun is connected to our body directly. Even though we do not see it, we say, oh, sun is somewhere there. No, but we are actually, we are part of the solar system. Our functioning is governed by sun. That's why Surya Devata is supposed to be, always worshipped in the morning. Because why do we say Surya? You do Gayatri Japam in the morning or Gayatri, in the morning, because the tejas or the brilliance of the sun is transmitted to you. So as and when you do more and more of this puja, etc. in the morning, the sun gives you the illustrious, the brilliance. Correct? Which and because sun being radiant and always full of energy, the energy also is passed to you. And all the living beings and non-living beings which are there, all over there, they all come into life when the sun comes into existence. They all pretty much are dormant when sun is not there. Sun is there, but sun has gone to the other side of the world. So they're all waiting. In the morning when the sun comes, all the plants starts to get energy. Same way us also. That's what it says here. Yatha Ravi Loka Cheshtam. Then Yaha. See, there's a word called Yaha. See that? So Yaha means who. So what Yaha means who. You just write down the meaning now. I'll explain the sequence later on. So Yaha means who. Yatha means just as. Ravihi, sun. Loka Cheshtaha means, Loka means the universe. Cheshta means actions. Nimitta means the reason for the action being performed. Nimitta Karanam. So Upadana Karanam, Nimitta Karanam. Two Karanams are there. So Loka Chesha Nimittam. Yaha means who. Manaha Chakshuhu Adi. First line. Manaha Chakshuhu Adi Pravruttau. So Manaha Chakshu Adi. See, Mana means mind. Chakshuhu means the eyes. Adi means what is etc. So it doesn't say that you include power of seeing, power of touch, power of smell, power of taste, etc. You will include whatever is there. So all of the Pancha Jnana Indriyas, Pancha Karma Indriyas, Manaha, Buddhi, Chit, Ahankara is excluded in the Adi. So Manaha, Chakshur, Adi, Pravritto Nimittam. So Pravritto Nimittam means again, for the mind to function, for the eyes to function, the sun is the cause. Right? So just as the sun is responsible for all the actions being performed in the universe, the whole sun illumines all the objects in the universe. animals, plants, whatever it is there, buildings, anything, any object is everything is illumined. And actions are being performed by different people, different things. Same way, the sun also, same sun is responsible for the manaha, chakshuhu, adi, pravruttau, nimittam. So nimittam again is a cause. So again, the same sun which is responsible for illuminating the universe and for all the actions being done in the universe, same sun is also responsible for the activities in the mind, etc. and is a cause. And next, nirasta akhila upadhi. See, nirasta akhila upadhi. So, nirasta means devoid. Akhila means in entirety, or the whole, all. Upadhi means the manifesting or the medium, supporting. So upadhi means support. So nirasta akhila upadhi. Akasha kalpaha. So akasha does not have any upadhi. So akasha kalpaha means what? The infinite sky. The sky is actually infinite. Can we count how big the sky is, how big the space is? We cannot count. We do not even know because it is just never ending. So space is subtlest of the matter, the subtlest most of the matter, and space is of the nature of infinite nature. So says here, nirasta akhila upadhi. That means the one which is devoid of any supporting medium, just as the akashaha. So akasha does not have any manifesting medium. It is just there. Sun also is there because sun is swayam prakashaha. Sun does not need to be told that it should illumine. Sun is of the nature of illumination. Sun is swayam prakashaha. Akasha also is infinite. So wherever you are there, as long as you are there, even if you are not there also, akasha will be there all the time. So infinite. That's what it says here. Saha. So let's see, Saha, the last line. Nitya upalabdhi. So in the same way, just as the sun is always available for recognition, just as the sun which illumines all the world, just as the sun which is illumining all the minds, body, mind, sense complex, and is equivalent to the infinite sky, so I am also always present. I am never going to go from anywhere. So I am also as infinite as the sky. I am also as shining as the sun. And I am the one which is responsible for illumining this world. I'm also the only person responsible for giving existence to this eyes, mind, etc. And who is this I? Ahamatma. So Atma, the consciousness, which is me. That means when I say me, means not the body, mental complex. You must always, when you read the verse, you must read the first one. So Naham Manashya, Naham Bhikshu, Naham Sannyasi, all these things should take. I'm neither this, I'm neither this, I'm neither this. So you already removed all the upadhis. So what are those things? They are upadhis, right? So when you say I'm a sannyasi, means sannyasi is a manifestation medium. When you say I'm a grahastha, what is this? Grahastha is actually a status. Bhikshu, when you say monk, it is also a status. So all these status are all removed. So nirasta akhila upadhi means I am devoid of all the upadhis, devoid of all supporting mechanisms. I am just on my own, alone, independent, not being supported by anything. And I am that Atma. See, before I take you to something else, I need to explain this because this is a very easy topic to explain consciousness. Other topics are harder because they assume that you already know consciousness or you already know how to arrive at consciousness. So the Upanishad doesn't, or the Bhagavad Gita doesn't tell you, it just tells, oh, you are this. But here it gives example how just as the sun which is self-illuminating, sun which illumines is responsible for all the actions in the universe, the same sun, one sun, is responsible for the universe. The same sun also is responsible for the actions driven by the you, which is Manaha, Buddhi, Chakshu, Ahankara, etc. And the sun also is compared, another example is what Nirasta Akila Upadi Akasha Kalpaha. So it is the sun, just as sun is there, Akasha is infinite, so I am infinite. So he is equating himself to sun. So first step is for you to equate ourselves to this infinite sky. Correct? And then later on we will say what this sky also is not me, because if I the knower, if I the waker is not there, can there be sun for you? You cannot, there can be no sun. Can there be sky for you? There can be no sky. So which comes first? I come first. So I shine, therefore sky shines. I shine first, therefore sun shines. Sun does not shine before me. Sun always shines after me. So who is dependent? Sun is dependent on me. Right? So because I am the consciousness, I am the one which illumines this entire universe. There's no other sun other than me. There's no space other than me. That is what is the meaning of the word Ahamatma. So Nijabodha Swarupam Nityopalabdhi Swarupoha Atma. So Nitya Upalabdhi means I'm always available. There's not a time when I'm not there. You can never say I'm not there, correct? Because when you say, even if I'm not there, you say, who is the person saying I'm not there? You say, no, I am saying. So if somebody asks it, so I was not there. So where were you there? I was not there, I told you. So where were you? I was there, but I was not there. So you can never negate yourself. You'll always be there. Somebody asks you, who are I'm the person. So always I, the singular, I is the one which cannot be removed. The am can be removed. You can always remove the am. And ultimately this singular, I, which is there, absolute I, cannot be negated. Because without the I being there, nothing else comes to existence. So you have to be there for everything to shine. Right? I'll give you a reference on the Bhagavad Gita also. If you want, you can write down. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse number 33. I'll just read that and explain the mantra so that Yata prakashayat yekaha, Yata prakashayat yekaha, Kritstam lokamimam ravihi, Kritstam lokamimam ravihi, Yata prakashayat yekaha, Kritstam lokamimam ravihi, Kshetram kshetri tata kritsam, Kshetram kshetri tata kritsam, Prakashayati Bharata. So what it says here, Yatha means just as here, Yatha. So Prakashayat Ekaha. Ekam means only one. So there is only one shining light. There is no two lights. Correct. Light is always singular. So illuminator is only one. illuminate the many, right? Objects are many. And illuminator, the sun, is one. Illumining is the nature of the sun. Illumining is not a duty of the sun. This is Swayam Prakashaha, self-duty. And it is not, the sun is not doing any particular action by illuminating, because it is not an action on the part of the sun. Likewise, if you say, I am consciousness, your nature is to illumine. Our nature is to illumine all manaha, chakshu, adi, pravritho. So my mind itself is illuminated by this consciousness. And the mind is doing all the activities. Just as the sun is illumining, but the sun is not responsible for the activities. Right? It just illumines, and due to the illumination power, the energy which is there, act is being performed. So can we say the sun is doing duties? Sun does not do anything. We only do duties, because the sun gives energy to perform. It lends existence to the universe to perform activities. Same way the consciousness also lends existence to the mind. It lends existence to manaha, chakshu, adi, pravrittau. Because of that borrowed existence, the mind survives. And somehow we get the idea that this mind is called consciousness. And therefore, I am the mind. Shastram says you are not the mind. You are that which is beyond the mind. So, yata prakashayat ekaha. Kritsnam means what? The illumination or the illumining. Kritsnam. Lokam imam ravihi. Just as the whole sun, the entire sun illumines the entire universe, and being one, prakashayat ekaha. The sun being one, it illumines all the objects in the universe. Correct? Same way, kshetram, kshetri. Kshetra means what? The field, the body. Kshetra means the place of the body. Kshetri or kshetragyaha means the person who is living in the body or indweller of the body. So within our body there is an indweller, which is called a conscious Atma, which is there, which cannot be seen. So kshetram, kshetri, tata kritstam. So just as the sun which illumines the entire universe being one, Atma being one, illumines every kshetram in this universe. So your consciousness is not different from my consciousness. You cannot say that, oh, Sridharji is different, and Kushalji is different. Mine is, no. Kshetram is different. Kshetram means bodies are many, objects are many, but the underlying power or the underlying energy behind that, there's only one consciousness. So we are called Ekaha. So even though we have got different, structure, etc., we have got different kulam, gotram, tradition, whatever language, everything is there. Ultimately, when you all remove all of them, you go back to the first mantra. Remove all of them, what do you say? Ahamatma, ahamatma. I am consciousness, I am consciousness. So you'll have to again go back to the same verse. So that's why that first mantra is taught for contemplation. So the first mantra should be remembered always. It should never go out of the mind. Somebody, if at all a thought comes to you, oh, I am this, immediately should think, oh no, I am not this. I'm only a manifesting medium. The body is only a manifesting medium for the consciousness to illumine. Consciousness can stay without illumination also, because it doesn't need to illumine. It does not need. It can just be dormant, it can just be unmanifest. Just as in deep sleep state, consciousness, Atma is unmanifest. Because if the Atma is, is manifest, then the mind will be active. That's why it's very important. So you can refer to this text, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse number 33. I taught you this verse in the Bhagavad Gita class. So you can go to the notes for those of you who attended the class. There are other verses quoted there. I don't. I mean, in the Vivek Chudamani also, for interested to know Vivek Chudamani, if you got a book, you can refer to that also. I think the opening verse or next couple of the first section itself talks about the Atma. So, see, an example which is always quoted is, if you are in a dark room, say all of us are sitting in a dark room. I don't know if you know, I recently went to this Coimbatore. When I went to the ashram, somebody told me that you should go and visit this Sadhguru's ashram in Coimbatore. Sadhguru also is another teacher, or you can say he's also another spiritual leader. So I was not interested. My teacher told me categorically that you must not go. So other people can go, but I don't want you to go into that particular sanctum sanctorum where it's called Dhyana Lingam. Is there. Other people are curious. I was not curious. I told I'm not interested in going there at all. People who wanted to go, they all went there. Apparently, I mean, Dhyana Lingam, it's a dome. It's a, and once you go inside, you cannot, it's pitch dark. So nobody knows who is in front, nobody knows who is in the back. You cannot tell who is in the front, you cannot know who is in the back, but you know you are there. For you to tell that I'm not there, other person cannot see you. You cannot see other person, but every person knows they are there without knowing they are there. Is it correct? That's what is called consciousness. Consciousness is something which cannot be seen only by the seer. The seer himself is the person with consciousness, and the person need not, have any manifesting medium. It can just be by himself. So when you meditate, when you go there, you meditate and you forget about everything else because it is so pitch dark. You cannot see anything. You enter there and you sit. As soon as you sit, because darkness engulfs the entire thing, all the doors are shut. Not even a single light will come there. You cannot see anything excepting your own swarup. You will only be there. So it is a meditating technique for removing all sorts of disturbances. But even in the darkness also, you will always be there. I am there always, correct? So that is why he says, I am always Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupoha Atma. Correct? So one may be silent, one may not see anybody else, but one can never negate the presence of one's own self. So you will always be there. So you will be there among many people, you will not be there, but you will always be there as your own self. So it's very important to know that so Nivrittihi, one more example given here is Pravritta Marga, Nivritta Marga. The two things are given here. See, Pravritti Marga, Nivritti Marga. Pravritti means by actions, by doing Karma Yoga, etc. is called Pravritti. Nivritti Marga is meditation or by contemplation. It is taking to path of Jnana. So Pravritti Marga, Nivritti Marga, two methods are there. So if you look at the Bhagavad Gita also in chapter 2, Lokes Dvida Prokta Prokta Mayanagaha Karma Yogena Sankhya Yogena Yoginam. So there are two paths given for everybody. One can follow Karma Yoga or one can follow Jnana Yoga. So whichever is convenient for the person to follow, even follows. But ultimately, Karma Yoga also lead to Jnana only. You cannot go to moksham without just doing Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga will have to ultimately culminate into Jnana. So some people directly jump to Jnana because they have already done Karma Yoga before. The mind is already mature and they do not need to do any more activities for them to get additional mental purity. See, if your thoughts are already pure, if your mind is already concentrated, then you do not need to do more. Right? See, if you already know maths, you are brilliant in maths. You already know. No, I would still like to do algebra more. Why would you do that? Because you already know that. I know this. I do not need to do anything more. No, I would like to still practice from year 1 to year 10 all the algebra mathematics. You won't do that because you left it a long time ago. So same concept here also. When jnanam comes, when one takes ownership of one's own true nature, all the activities which are done before is left. So a person shifts from karma yoga to jnana yoga. But till such time that shift occurs, one has to continue to do all the karmas which is prescribed in the Shastra. Because Grahastha does not leave you. If you are in Grahastha, you have to do duties, you have to take care of your children, your husband, your wife, your property, your other social commitments, everything has to be done there. Then, along with the Shastra study has to be done. This is the difficulty of Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga doesn't have any of these things. Because you say, okay, I don't want any of these things. But it is difficult to say this because once you say, I don't want any of these things, if you still have some vasana left somewhere, I think I took a decision very quickly. Maybe I should have waited. That itself can cause a lot of problem, distress to you. That is, sannyasa should be pondered only when a person has completed all responsibilities to the extent of what he thinks is there. Does not mean that person get married, then his children, the children get married, the children gets granddaughter, and the granddaughter, is being taken care of, then she gets married and she has children. All this ashay, all this desire should not be extended. One must complete what? You got married, you got your children there, the children are got married, the duties are there. From that your job is over. After that, duties have been performed. Once a year will come. First year, there's some duties to be done there. No, I would like to go and sit with them for one more week, or I would like to go on holiday with them. I get bored. These are all attachments. So this is what is talked about here. This is all will bind you. So pravritti marga and nivritti marga. Pravritti will take you towards that marga, and you will be very careful about it. Nivritti is this jnana marga. So ahamatma, that's what I am always the Atma, I am always the Atma. Is this verse clear to you? Any question from anyone before we go to the next one? Okay, all the words are clear to you, right? If you want, I can repeat the words there. So if you go from the beginning, nimittam means the cause. Then manaha chakshuhu. So manam means the mind. Chakshu literally means eye, but chakshuhu means all the indriyas. Should take like this. Chakshuhu, adi, etc. Pravrittau. So pravritta means what? They are action oriented. So I told you pravritta marga, nivritti marga, correct? So pravritto. So they do action due to the presence of, so nirasta akhila upadi. So nirasta means what? Devoid. Akhilam means the universe. Upadi means the manifesting medium. Akasha kalpaha. So akasha means space. Space is actually devoid of any manifesting medium. Space itself is space. Space does not need to tell that I am space. Space, so another example I can give you is, if you say that have a pot and you take a pot and you say it is pot space, right? So space inside a pot is called pot space. Space outside a pot is called space. Correct? But the pot itself is in space. See, pot, have a pot, you cover it, you say it's called space in the pot. So the space is governed by the upadi of the pot, correct? The shape of the pot. It can be round pot, can be vertical pot, can be different types of pot. All of them are taking the shape of the space is taking the shape of the upadi there. But when the pot itself is not there, Once the pot breaks, do you think the space will actually still be holding there? Space will just be released because space was never bound. You think you are controlling the space by boxing it, but space is always free. Like, and the beauty of that is the pot itself is in space. It is not outside of space. But yet we say what? Pot space. Body, we say, is what? Body is full of space only. Right? It is space. And we are in space. We are not outside of space. So space is called, described here as Nirasta Akhila Upadhi, means the one which is devoid of any manifesting medium. It doesn't need any manifesting medium. If you want to hold a pot, you hold a pot. You can call a pot space. If you don't have a pot, it is called space. Like space is singular. Spaces, there's no spaces. There's no consciousness. There's no existences. It's only existence, consciousness, space. We never call waters. We only call water. Because water is single, ekaha. Space is ekaha. This is only one space. But space appears to be many because of the division. You got bedroom space, study room space, mandir space, whatever you got. Everything is all divided. But when the whole building is broken down, what do you have? You have only space. The whole house also is in space. So this is to be understood. So whenever we talk, we say, I got my bedroom space is very big. So it is okay to talk like this because you cannot say that space is only one ekam, there's no bedroom space. No. Transactionally, we are talking like this. But cognitively, when you understand for your own self, you understand that space is only one. And it isn't free from any upadhi. So nirasta akila upadhi akasha kalpaha. So got it? So Ravihi loka cheshta. So Ravi means sun, loka cheshta. Just as the Ravi, the sun itself is responsible for performing the actions by the living and non-living beings. Yatha, just as Yaha means who, Saha means that. I am that. Who is this? Nitya Upalabdhi. Swarupo Ahamatma. So I am that Atma, I am that like the sun, which is the cause of everything, which does not do an action by itself. I'm also the space which is free and infinite. So I am that Atma here. You got it? Okay, next one we'll look at this one. Yammagnushnavanni nityabodhaswarupam Yamagnanyushnavanni nidabodhaswarupam Manaschakshuradi bodhatmakani Pravrtanta ashritya nishkampamekam Sanityopalatti swarupo hamatma Ahamatma, Ahamatma. So, Yam Agnihi. So the word, see the big word, you have to break it into Yam Agnihi, Ushna. Yam Agnihi Ushna, Ushnavate. So, Agni means fire, right? And Ushna means heat. So, fire and heat, are they two different things? Can you separate the fire and the heat? You cannot, right? Because fire's nature is to give heat. There cannot be something called a fire without a nature function called heat. You cannot call something a fire when it doesn't have the capacity to burn or to give ushnam, correct? So fire and heat is inseparable. Even though there are two different terms, fire is a source and heat is the intrinsic nature of the fire. So intrinsic nature of the fire is what? Is heat, because heat is actually is the main reason for this. The fire is the main reason for the heat being present. So you can never separate. If you want, you can test it by putting your hand in the gas. What it will do? No, see, different. It will burn because it doesn't know whether it's a hand or whether it's a property or anything like this. Because if it comes in contact with the fire, it will burn. So yam agni ushnavate. I mean, what just as the fire and the agni ushnavate. Vannihi. Vanni means fire. Okay, so Vanni, another name for fire is called Vannihi. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra Vannihi. Yatra yatra dhumaha means what? Wherever there is smoke, there is always understanding there is fire. You do not need to go and check there is fire or not. When you see smoke, what do you see? Something is burning there. Correct. Do we go and check whether something is burning there? You already know there's something burning because the burn, the anything which is burned, it gives you a distinctive smell. It gives you an odor, and you already know that something is burning. Even if you cook, if you forget to switch off the gas, you will know that from the smell itself that oh my God, then you run. You don't even check whether it is burnt or not. You already know it is burnt. So what do? You just go and put it off. That's why it says here, Yam Agni Ushna Vannihi Nijabodha Swarupam. So the Nijabodha means what? The true nature of the fire is of the nature of Ushnavata. So this is the Swarupam, or this is the nature of the fire. The fire's nature is of to give you heat. And this fire and heat cannot be separated. They are always together. Just as the Atma and the physical body are two things, but they are not two things. Because Atma's nature is to illumine. Right? And illumination is the nature of the Atma. It is not doing an activity. But what do we say that, oh, fire is burning? Fire is burning, of course. Nature of the fire is to burn. So there's a fire burning there. Okay. So what do we say that? Fire is burning there? Yes, we know the fire is burning because fire is supposed to burn. So you dismiss it immediately. You do not do more analysis. Same way here also, oh, there's physical body there. Yes, the physical body is there because Atma is there, very much there as a manifesting medium. So the Atma reflects itself, that's why the body is there. So same way here also, Agni Ushnavata. So Ushnavata means the nature of the heat or nature of the fire is heat. Nitya Bodha Swarupam. So this is eternal knowledge. You do not need to do any great study to understand what it is. This is a eternal knowledge everybody knows, right? And how Ekaha, Ekam. So Ekam means one. So there is no two things. Fire and heat is only one. They are non-separable. Atma and Jivaha, not two different things. They are only one. Hope you're getting the point. Just as the fire and heat is inseparable, same way Atma and the Jiva and the Jiva also is not two things, but it is mistaken to be two things. Then so Yam, then he says again, Manaha Chakshuhu Adi Bodhatmakani. So, sorry, Manaha Chakshuhu Adi Abodhatmakani, not Bodha, Abodhatma. So, Manaha, you already know, mind. Chakshuhu, you already know the previous example. Adi means etc. Abodaha, Atmakani, let's say. Abodham means what? That which cannot be illumined. Abodham means it doesn't have the power to illumine by itself. See, Bodham means knowledge. Abodham means not having knowledge. Can the mind operate by itself without the consciousness? Can the heat be there without the fire? Can the waves be there without the water? Can the ocean be there without the water? Is there a thing called a gold ring without the gold being there? The gold ring and the gold are both same. The intrinsic property of both of them is the gold. If the gold is not there, you cannot call it a ring. You cannot call it because it's no. So the source of that is the gold. But they appear to be two things because the object itself takes a form of that, the manifesting medium it is there, and that is taken as Satyam. And we live in the continuous world of this imaginary world of the truth, where we think that this body itself is Satyam, and we forget the Atma. We enjoy the gold ornaments, we forget the gold. How do we remember the gold? When we go to the goldsmith, when you get bored, he says, oh, this, I can only give you this much. Why so much? It's expensive gold ring, I spent so much money. Then yes, you paid so much money to buy this, but now it is worth only this much. Why? Because it has deteriorated and it has already reduced in value, and I can only give you this much. There's a loss there. That's the time when you think about the gold. Till such time you never think about the gold, right? You only think about the ornament what you're wearing. Same way here also, as long as a person thinks about a physical body, he will continue to live in ignorance. When the time comes, when the physical body is about to go, at that time he thinks, aha, such a waste of time. So much time wasted in all these things. Had I known before this, I would have been much more happier. Now it is too late to do all these things because eyes cannot see, buddhi will not work, legs will not work, mind is not ready. So many things are there. Difficult to get old habits out of the way. That's what it says here. Manaha Chakshur Adi Abodhatmakani. So Abodhatmakani means they are inert by nature. They do not have anything, a power to illumine. A pencil cannot illumine itself. A pencil cannot say, I am a pencil. The pencil can only be told that you are a pencil by the knower. So I should be there first of all, then only the pencil comes in existence. The name also comes pencil only if I tell it's a pencil. The pencil cannot come and tell me that, oh, you are, you are Shankar or you are Sridhar or Kushalji or Srikanji. You cannot come and tell, oh, you're all like this. Because it doesn't have the power to illuminate. It is Jadaha, inert. So, Abodhatmakani. So, example, what is Manaha, Chakshur, Adi, etc. They are inert by nature. So, mind does not have the capacity to illuminate itself. Otherwise, the mind would be active 24/7. In dream state, the mind is only half active. It is not fully active. Right now, the mind is 100% active because you can visualize, you can think, you can activity, everything you can do. But after some time, when you go to deep sleep state, this famous mind which can do so many things is not available even for recognition. Why? Because the mind cannot illuminate itself. It needs another illuminator called the consciousness to tell that, oh, you are the mind. That's why it says here, Abodhatmakani. So Abodham means inert and Atmakani means it is inert by nature. It cannot reveal the Atma. Then pravartanta ashritya. See, pravartanta means it becomes active. What becomes active? Manaha, chakshu, adi, etc., buddhi, etc. They become active. Ashrityaha means what? They have existence in me. Ashritaha means existence, or they have existence in the consciousness. They do not have existence outside of the consciousness. And Nishkampam Ekam. So the Ekam which I told you is the same. So the fire and the heat are Ekam. Atma and Jiva is Ekam. Then the why? Because Abodhatmakani Manaha Chakshu Adi etc. So Nishkampaha, Nishkampamekam means motionless. Nishkampa means motionless. It doesn't do any action. See, consciousness does not do any action. Atma does not go and say that I am the Atma. Atma is only one. Atma does not need to do any action. But Atma, through the manifesting medium called the mind, Manaha, Chakshu, Adi, etc., does the action and is being taken as the doer. So Atma becomes a doer because of the wrong notion that it is doing something. Atma itself doesn't do any action because it has got no limbs. Atma doesn't have anything called hands. Apani padam, chakshuhu, agotram, avarnam. See, in the Mundaka Upanishad, it talks about what is this Atma? Atma is what? Avarnam, agotram, apani padam, achakshuhu, agrahyam. It can't be grasped. It has got no gotram. It has got no legs. It has got no eyes. It has got no hands. So it is of the nature of attributelessness. So it has got no attribute. Nirvishayaha. So nirvishesha means without any objects. It has got no objectification. So how will something which has got no objects or no limbs or no etc. perform an action? It is not possible. But due to the association of this consciousness with a manifesting medium which is endowed with the body mind sense complex, which all the indriya etc., it performs, it gives an illusion that it is performing an action, but action is being performed by the body, not by the Atma. Therefore, he says here what? Sasaha. Therefore, I am Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupoham Atma. So the last line is a repetition that I am that, I am this, I am this. So that line, it comes in every verse. Sanitya Upalabdhi Swarupoham Atma. So therefore, I am always existent, I am always present, I am the Atma. Atma, because Atma is of the nature of illuminate nature. Swayam Prakashaha. Manaha, Chakshu, Adi, etc. are inert, Abodhatmakani. Therefore, they are not me. Right? And he gives example of Yam Agni Ushnavat Nitya Bodha Swarupam. So Agni and Ushnam are non-separate because it is a Nija Bodha Swarupam. It is the truth of the nature of the fire. The fire's true nature is to give heat. It is not doing an action called heating. Correct? The fire, does it do anything called heating? No, the fire, no, I have to heat up. It doesn't. You start the gas, heat comes. So it doesn't do an action called heating. Sun doesn't do an action called illumining. Right? Water does not do an action called waves. There is no, this, see, even the stillness of the water also is a property of the water only. Tsunami also is only appearing on the surface of the water. The water itself does not get affected by tsunami. Is it right? If tsunami comes, does the water get affected? Water doesn't get affected. It is always on the surface of the water only. Right? The basis or the adharam of the tsunami also is water. The stillness of any ocean also is water. The waves are also belonging to the water. So which is Satyam? Water is Satyam. Same way, Atma is Satyam. Jiva is Mithya. There is nothing called Jiva, there is nothing called human person. There is only Atma. Is it clear?
Can I ask something?
Yes.
In the previous verse, Yadan or வார்த்தை யூஸ் பண்ணா just as அப்படின்னு வருது இல்லையா? Which and which are compared? Sun வந்து
just as sun is being compared. See, sun is being compared. Sun is the one which is giving energy to all. Right? So sun is illumination.
ஆகாஷ கல்பகாங்கிறது அது என்ன எந்த விதத்துல ரிலேட் ஆகுது?
Akasha is infinite.
Sun is the cause for the universe, actions in the universe. Okay. Nirasta Akila Upadi Akasha Kalpaha. Apna Akasha வந்து it is not confined by anything.
Correct.
அப்படின்னு சொல்றாரு.
Akasha is infinite because it is not restricted, it is not constrained by anything. Akasha space is not actually bound by anything.
Okay, but because how is it related now to Atma and
see what it says here? One is talks about the Satyam Jnanam Anantam, limitlessness. So Satyam Jnanam Anantam, right? Satyam means the truth, and Anantam means, see, the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So Anantam means limitlessness. So space is limitless, correct? Space is limited by anything. Even though when you say Upadhi means what is a manifesting medium, right? So the pot is a manifesting medium, the body itself is a manifesting medium, we have space inside our physical body, right? When the body is released, space also is released, right? It goes back to the same space from where it came from. The body continues to be born in space, living in space, growing in space, declining in space, finally perishing in space. And what finally is always in space on this, right? So the space, so there are two examples given here. One is for infinite nature of the Brahman, one is for the all-illumined nature of the Brahman. Okay, so sun, what is sun illumines by itself. Sun does not do an action called illumining, correct? Space also does not depend on any upadhi for its existence. Space is space because whether you have pot space, whether you have bedroom space, space is space. It's not depending on anything at all. It is there existing as infinite. It is not going to be destroyed by anything. It is not going to be tainted by anything. Can you say space is polluted? Do you say that? We always say what environment is polluted. Can I say space looks very dirty today? We don't say, because space is actually not subject to any part of dosha, etc.
So Atma is compared to space or Atma is compared to sun?
Both. Atma is compared here to space for infiniteness. Atma is said is like the sun, which is of the nature of self-illumining.
Okay.
First verse. Second verse talks about the intrinsic nature of the fire and heat being non-separate. Okay. Same way, Manaha, Chakshu, Adi, etc. cannot operate on its own because it needs a manifesting medium called a consciousness. And it gives example saying that because they are abodhatma khani, so they are actually of the nature of inertness. They are inert. So different meaning is given here. First meaning given here is the first verse, third verse. The sun is of the nature of self-illumining. Atma is self-illumining. The sun is equal to Atma, which is self-illumining. Atma does not do an action because sun also does not do an action called illumining. Therefore, it is free from any action. First one. Second thing is, it talks about the space, correct? So, Nirasta Akela Upadhi, correct? Akasha Kalpaha. So, space itself is devoid of any limitations because you cannot confine space. You can confine space only because of the manifesting medium being there. So as I told you, space, see, the manifesting medium also is existing in space. there is inside also space, outside also space. So space is space. So there is nothing called spaces. So ekaha, space means space is singular. Right? And when the space is actually freed from the object, from the upadhis, it always remains always one ekam. So when the same way, when the jiva which is there in the physical body, we think the physical body, we are all of different shapes, upadhi. Right? Just a space is present in all different places. In Tiruchi, space is there, in Australia is there, India is there, different types of there. Can we call them space as different spaces? We can call them space in terms of what? The location. But absolutely, when we talk about space, can I say there's only space? Right? Same way it talks about here, that physical body also, we have got different types of structure, different gotra, different kulam, etc. We live everything there. Space pervades all of them as one. But But after the whole upadhi is removed, upadhi manifesting medium is removed, what remains? Only space remains. So space is ekam. So space is compared to as limitlessness, number one, in terms of infinite. And is compared to fire and heat as example given as the intrinsic nature of the fire and heat being non-separate. Just as water and wave is non-separate, gold and ornament are non-separate, correct? It's only the manifesting medium which gives you the name called Nama Rupaha, right? Otherwise, gold, it's just called gold. Got it? That's what it said. Yes, Kushalji.
So I was just thinking, if you have a cup, the space inside, if I take this cup from Sydney to Chennai, it's still space, the same space, right?
Exactly, correct.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. Because same space is there. Because wherever you go, space is there before you.
Yeah, it's not Indian space or Australian, it's a space, right? Okay, I understand.
People talk about like, this is all, my territory space. This is China space. This is,
Yeah.
Sometimes when people talk about it, that is because you're talking about limitation of the boundary. Space itself is ocean. Can you see? Ocean itself is such a big thing. Can you separate the ocean physically? You cannot. How do you understand? There's some sort of imaginary line being said that, oh, this up to this is my territory, right? So really speaking, ocean is, you can go round and round the ocean for you will get bored. You can never end. It's endless ocean, correct? You go from this section to that section, you'll always be in water. As long as you are in water, you'll be in water all the time. You'll be in water only. So the example given is water and wave is not given here. I'm just adding. Water and wave is not two things. There's only one thing. But wave is the manifesting medium for the water. Fire is the manifesting medium so heat is the manifesting medium for the fire. But both are non-separate. Ornaments is the manifesting medium for the gold. Gold and ornament cannot be separated. Can you separate the ornament from the gold? Cannot. There's nothing called an ornament without the gold. So same thing said here. Space also, you cannot separate the space from a cup or from any particular thing because it is already in space. Space is inside the cup, outside the cup, around the cup, and everywhere. Right. And space always goes before you. If you fly from here and you say that I'm going from Australia to India, I am actually traveling international space. But what? You are actually traveling in space. You are traveling inside the plane is space. You are landing in space. You are getting down in space.
So it doesn't matter where you are. There's only one space. It is all space. And everything has space around it. It's all space, right? So
same example, Kushalji, what you should do is Atma is equal to space. Atma is everywhere. It is present inside me, around me, inside everywhere, all around me. Atma is only 1%.
So that's what you're saying, that
right.
If you equate it to space, that it's all one.
It's all one because we are all separate, but ultimately this is only one. So we give example of space. See how we experience Atma. Because Atma cannot be known directly. If I tell that this is Atma, you cannot know. How will you know? There has to be Upamanam. There should be an example, right? So he gives example saying that just as space is infinite, space is always there. Consider Atma to be like the space which is always present inside you, outside you, around you, everywhere, wherever you go, Atma is always there with you. You are never outside of the Atma, you are never inside of the Atma.
Yeah, you are the space as well. Inside me,
Correct.
space.
Exactly.
And outside me is also the space.
Because we are in space and our body also inside we got space. That's why we got structure like this. Some people are thin, some people are tall, some people are big. Why? Because space is inside us. So, because we are Panchaputana, we are 5 elements. We have got everything. Fire, water, everything we've got. So space also is present in our physical body. That is the essence of this. That's why this gives the Vedantic vision very clearly. I mean, for a beginning student or somebody studying Vedanta first time, right? It gives you how you should relate. How people mistake two things as a two things, but really not two things, only one thing. So ultimately, we will say that Jiva as a human being is non-separate from the Paramatma. So there's nothing called Paramatma other than there's no Jiva there. There's really no Jiva. Jiva is only imaginary thing we believe because we have a limited view of what we are. But the moment we remove the limitations, we are free from all those things, then we do not have anything called a physical body. We are actually only Paramatma. So we are the Bhagavan. That's why he says what I am Bhagavaha. So I am the Bhagavan. So you don't say it in arrogance. You say in Jnanam. You say that yes, I am the Bhagavan. I am the Lord. So there is no other Lord other than me. Which means what? I am the one which is making everything function in this world. Without me being there, Atma being there, mind itself cannot function. Mind cannot function. The karma indriyas cannot function. Jnana indriyas cannot function. Nothing can function in this world. So I am the essence. That's what he said. So we'll go through more. He will have more examples. He gives beautiful examples. And his examples are illustrations we should use to expand the vision of one's own self. So previously we had a vision that space like this. Now we talk about what space you're talking about. There's really no space. Space is only one. What space you talking about? Give me space. Some people will say, I need my own space. They will talk like this sometimes. So what space are you talking? You want a space for himself to be alone. That's what it talks about. He's actually still going alone in a separate place. He's also in space. So Vedanti will understand this. You will not get into the argument. Okay, you want space? Okay, go. Wherever you go, you'll find only space. Doesn't matter. Right. Mama, is it clear to you, Shankar Mama?
Still in bit confusion.
Okay.
Because the Atma and the body, that's the thing. When the body is lost, what will happen to the Atma? That's the thing.
Atma, see, that's what Atma will not go anywhere, Mama, because Atma does not, first of all, depend on anything. Because Atma is supposed to be of nature, eternal nature. It will always be existing as the unmanifest medium. When the body is not there, it will become unmanifest. Just as when you go to deep sleep state, do you know you are there? You're not there. But you know you are there, right?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because
you say you know, right?
Yeah.
So can you say why I know? Because you say I just know. Correct? If I ask you, say, how do you know? What do you say? I just know that I am there. I know.
Yes.
So can you explain I know? You cannot. Because same way Atma, sun also can say that I am illumining. He says, do you really illumine? Say, what? So there's no argument after that, because you already know that you are there, and you say, when you say I know, it means what? You are that knowledge. There's no other person required to tell you that you know. Is it right? Because that knowledge that you are there in deep sleep state is already known to you. Without your knowing you are there. Is it correct? You'll understand this slowly, because this topic is very complicated. I mean, you're just, in the beginning stages of, you just be with the text, and I will make sure that you understand it very clearly. But you should not miss any class. If you don't miss your class, you go recording, get up to date. But make sure that you don't, because if you miss anything in between, it will be difficult for you to catch up. Unless a person has got purva experience, someone has listened to before, and yes, here and there. structured learning is very important. The moment you leave this structured learning, and if you, especially when your knowledge is being taken inside, you will not be able to relate to things. It will be very confusing. Sometimes it will be very daunting also. My God. So I would recommend all of you that who are, make sure you make it a practice to attend regularly. Whenever we have class, you make it a point to attend in person and be in the class. Recording is available for mananam. Recording should not be used for catching up. I can guarantee Swamiji's tell. Just Swamiji, recording is all there. Why should I come to the class? He said, you go and ask the recording itself. He will answer the question. You go and ask the recording itself that I should, he will tell you. Recording only, it will tell you what I have told you. Right? You cannot ask the recording why. See, now you ask the question, I can tell you, correct? I can correct you, I can listen to you. If you go and listen to recording, what you will only know what I am telling you. If you got any doubts, you cannot go and ask the recording. You have to go to the teacher only. That is why we don't recommend reading recording blindly. You come to the class, you attend the class, do this Shravanam. After that, you go and listen to the recording. It will make you more clear. This is the method recommended by the Gurukulam. This is what I did for many years, and probably it has benefited me a lot. And this is what I would recommend to you that you do it also. So we'll terminate the class here, and we will meet tomorrow. We have got Sri Suttam class. We'll meet and then we'll discuss. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. If you got any questions, just don't ask. Okay, don't feel afraid. Don't anything. Any question is not irrelevant. Any question is not useless. Any question which you have, you can write in the group, WhatsApp group. You can share views. And if no answer comes, I'll explain that in the next class.
Namaste.